Hi, my name's Xtine, I'm a food writer, and I've got a busy day tomorrow. I've got a couple meetings, I've got a food photo shoot I need to go to. I'm not sure if I'll have time for a proper lunch. I need a snack that I can take on the go, that is somewhat satisfying and hopefully tasty. That's why today I'm going to be trying out another New York Times recipe, this time energy bars! I've never made these before following this recipe, but they seem pretty simple and straightforward. I've already taken a little gander at the comments on the recipe, which are always helpful, and I will be making some adjustments, as I tend to do. I'm ready to be just bursting with energy. Just to give you an idea of what I'm going to be putting into these energy bars, I'm using what I had in my house, but it's pretty similar to what the recipe calls for. The recipe calls for chopped walnuts. We've got chopped walnuts. It also says you could use pecans or pistachios. I don't have either of those, but I am going to add in salted roasted almonds as well, because I just love almonds. The recipe also calls for dried dates, apricots, or cranberries. I've got dried cranberries, and let's call them what they are, which is craisins. The cousins of raisins. Craisins. Okay, and then additionally, the recipe doesn't call for this at all, but I have it. I don't know how long I've had this sitting in my kitchen, so it's time that it gets used for something. It's literally dusty. Like, I have these coconut chips. It's dust. I'm assuming they're fine because they're still sealed, and does dried coconut really go bad? I don't think so. First thing I'm going to do is line this square pan with parchment paper. The recipe says to use cooking spray and then... Cats are fighting. The recipe says to use cooking spray and then line it with greased aluminum foil. But after reading the very helpful comments, people said you can skip that entirely and use parchment paper, which is what I normally do when I bake things anyway. So that's what we're gonna do today. In a large bowl, I'm going to crack 2 eggs, add 1/2 teaspoon of coarse salt, and 1/4 cup of maple syrup is going to serve as our sweetener. I'm going to whisk to combine until this becomes one cohesive mixture and the salt dissolves. I have to pause to feed my cats because they are driving me insane. It's 4:30 p.m. right now. This is the earliest they can possibly eat dinner, and they've been bugging me for dinner since 1 p.m. I'm going to set this aside for a second while I coarsely chop my nuts. That feels good enough for me. The recipe calls for 138 grams of chopped nuts. That's 1.5 cups. I'm gonna see how much I just chopped up here. Okay, I'm going to add the chopped walnuts to get us to the 138 grams we need. Close enough. Now we need 245 grams of our craisins or dried fruit of some sort. I'm going to be doing a mixture of craisins and the coconut chips. And I need a bigger bowl. I'm gonna be honest, this seems like a lot compared to the amount of nuts we put in. Okay, 1.5 cups, 245 grams. I'm gonna stop at 221 because this feels sufficient. Okay, now it's time to add 1/4 cup of flour. The recipe calls for whole wheat flour, but I only have regular old boring all-purpose flour, so that's what I'm gonna use. And I understand that this makes the recipe slightly less healthy, but you know, I've made peace with that. 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon and whisk to combine. Make sure to break down all the clumps of flour. Now we can add our nuts and our dried fruit, or in my case, a limited amount of craisins and a ton of coconut chips. I'm going to give this a quick stir to combine. Make sure everything gets evenly coated in the binder we made. That looks good. These are going to be heavy on the coconut. I'm pouring our energy bar mixture into the lined baking pan, and I'm going to press it into an even layer. This is ready to bake in the oven at 350 degrees for 30 minutes or until it's set up and golden brown. Looks great. Nice and golden brown on the edges and firm on top. I'm going to let it cool completely in the pan for like, I don't know, 10-15 minutes. And then I'm going to pull it out and slice it. My energy levels are about to be off the charts. It's been about 15 minutes. I'm going to use the parchment paper to transfer our one giant bar onto the cutting board and then slice it into 10 smaller bars. They came out really cute. So far, I mean, just visually exceeded my expectations. That was a really big bite. Pretty good. Beautiful little cross section. You love to see it. They're tasty though. Thank you for watching. I post new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So why not subscribe? Okay, just one more thought. I feel like the success of these energy bars really depends on what you put in them. So make sure to use dried fruit and nuts that you like. But I will say, I think that the binder that we made is successful. I would recommend this recipe. Not too sweet, energy for days.